we understand that the National Automotive Design and Development Council in Nigeria has a core mission to create an enabling environment for the manufacture of Nigerian-made vehicles of international standards and at competitive prices, using local resources. What may surprise you is that we have had Nigerian-made products for very many years, even since sometime around the independence or maybe even before that. Whether or not we even consider it to be anything, how far back that goes, I guess is something that we will be listening to this morning in our conversations with the Director General of the NADDC, the National Automotive Design and Development Council, who joins us from our Abuja studio this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Oshanikpe. Joseph Oshanikpe, DG NADDC, we appreciate your time this morning. Your job couldn't be easy. You have been at this for quite a bit, and maybe a first question to ask would be, how has it been? You are practically having to go against the gods, take on ancient structures, so to speak. How has it been? What are the challenges, and what are the successes that you've been able to record?
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Makinde, and thank you for having me here this morning. Yes, just as you have rightly said, the sector have a lot of challenges, and as well, we've been able to face most of them head-on. Just as you mentioned, one of the major challenges that the sector has, because when we say sector, we talk more about our stakeholder. We are regulators, and because we are regulator, the main people are the assemblers, those that manufacture vehicles, those that assemble vehicles, those that manufacture components, that is part, those that provide after-sales services. These are the real stakeholders in this sector. And don't forget, even financial institutions are one of the major sectors, because what they do or what they fail to do are part of what will determine the success of this sector. So these are the challenges we take. First of all, the finance. You know that currently the interest rate is cost of fund in Nigeria is hovering above 30%, which if our stakeholders have to borrow from commercial bank, it means they will not be able to produce at competitive price. That's one. Number two, one of the other challenges we are facing currently is the used vehicle issues, because you could argue that because this is what most Nigerians can afford, but again, is one of the challenges. And these are part, as I mentioned, these are challenges that we are facing. But I will tell you that in the last few years, we have grown the number of vehicle manufacturers in Nigeria. As at the time we came in, the number we manufacture in Nigeria was about 5,000. But today, we even manufacture 5,000 in a quarter of the year, which means we have recorded a lot of progress. And then with the adoption of CNG vehicles that are coming in, we increase the components, that is the local components that go into assembling of vehicle. So these are part of what we have achieved. Again, we need to improve on the technical know-how of the stakeholder, because I mentioned the other time that part of the stakeholders are those people that provide after-sales services. And this we have also improved in building capacity for after-sales. These are part of what we've done. Then we face local component. Local components, let me explain that automotive cover two-wheeler, this is motorcycle, three-wheeler, tricycle, and then the one we know so well, motor vehicles. So we've identified a lot of things, especially in two-wheeler and three-wheeler, that we are starting from in boosting the local components that are we are using in building vehicle. And when we talk of local component, it doesn't have to be using it to build a new one, but also local component in taking care of after sales. And these are the area we've have a lot of improvements lately. Then the awareness also, because it's one thing for you to produce, it's another thing for Nigeria to know that the vehicle being produced in Nigeria meets international standard. So we have to create that awareness. So I think today there are more awareness about the vehicles that are being produced or assembled in Nigeria by a lot of Nigerian assemblers. There are names in auto industry that you won't hear of in 4 or 5 years ago, but there are now a lot of people know about them. I don't want to mention because we are on a live show. If not, I would have mentioned some of the known automobile companies that are now making waves in Nigeria.
Well, I think it might not be a bad idea to, do some history check. First, for instance,
Okay.
Mr. Oshanekwe, the first vehicle in Nigeria was in 1902, a steam-powered vehicle. But then the first Nigerian-made car was in 1997 by an inventor and engineer, Dr. Izogu. And one of the challenges that was understood at the time was that the government of the day had promised to mass produce and encourage that, but of course that didn't see the light of day. And we've also come to understand that over time, over the years, between the 70s, 80s into the 90s, the automotive industry in Nigeria gradually went down. Now, you have started to record some successes. Do you think we're able to track what the challenges were in the 70s, 80s, even in the 90s, that can ensure that over the next 50, 100 years, Nigeria's automotive industry doesn't just grow, but it doesn't record any challenge that could, any issues or problems that could challenge its growth in the near or far future? You've spoken, for instance, about local content and all. Do we have the back end in Nigeria to sustain that? What are the collaborations that are needed to ensure that we have an ever-growing automotive industry in Nigeria?
Yeah, okay. Firstly, because for you to move forward, you must look at, you mentioned that what's responsible for the kind of the downward trend that we experienced in toward the end of 80s or early 90s. And while we are engaging the OEM, part of part and quality of the part. At a time, some of them said Nigeria came up with a policy that they just have to adopt the locally manufactured spare parts. So what we are doing to correct that is to engage them, identify those that are doing the parts. As I'm talking to you now, we have a committee that composes those OEMs, the auto assemblers, and the vehicle manufacturer, as well as members of Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. Why are we doing this? We want to ensure that, despite the fact that our people have signed MOU concerning a particular brand, because if you sign an MOU, it means the brand, the components, and everything have to align with the main company, that is the parent company. So what we need to do is to engage them and let them carry out tests on the component that we are producing in Nigeria. Because it is when you do that, they will have faith and have comfort in using those components. Immediately you stop them from bringing those one in, they needed to be rest assured that what you are offering, the alternatives you are giving to them, meet international standard. And that's why, as we are negotiating with them, we are also putting up a test center where those components will be tested and confirm that they meet international standard. So we are working on test centers in material test center in Zaria, component test center in Enugu. So these two, we ensure that the component that will be picked or that we are going to delete from those MOU that our people have signed, So those components are tested and they meet international standard. We don't want them to take them out for testing because we want to be involved in testing to know what goes in, because you can't, if you take them out and they say, oh, this one doesn't meet international standard, then it may affect the morale of our people. But we make sure we do the test here. If they don't meet international standard, they will see it. They will see the way the test is carried out, and everybody will attest to the authenticity of the process. So these are part of what we are doing. And again, what again accounted for this is the high cost of new vehicles. Because if you see the rate at which new vehicles jump up around early after the FEM and the regulation of currency, then it means the cost of a new vehicle becomes so high that our people couldn't afford. What we need to do about that is to provide credit scheme. And this present government, the Renew Hope agenda, have made allowances and for stimulating demand through provision of credit scheme. I mentioned that although we may say about 20 billion set aside by credit call for auto is just a tip of the iceberg. We can't do that. And while we were doing while the House of Rep, National Assembly was on the oversight tour the other time, we mentioned it is not only government that finance auto. It's not done any part of the world. It has to be the financial institutions. So we need to work more with the financial institutions so that they will have that comfort to be able to finance auto sector. And again, work more with other regulators so that there is what they call sectorial lending, where a certain percentage of every financial institution's lending will go to a particular sector. So we are going to work more with those that take decision in this regard and try to appeal to financial institutions to look at auto sector, because we cannot sustain the demand, we cannot stimulate the demand without credit financing of auto. It's not done anywhere in the world.
Perhaps
so you can't buy a vehicle with 100% cash down. These are part of the things that are responsible for that low demand. And when there is low demand, there's going to be an issue about production. People, because auto is based on the kind of volume, that huge volume that the sector generates.
One of the challenges,
for you to be able to produce a mode that you are going to use for a particular chassis or any for any
come to that in a moment,
Mr.
Oshanipe, if you can hear me. Perhaps one of the challenges that is one of the challenges of the automotive industry is particularly concerning the investment that private sector, financial institutions investment that you talk about, is that money is a coward. If it is not sure of where it's going to go and multiply itself, it's unlikely to go there. And investors are very, very sensitive about that. So if we cannot patronize, if we cannot guarantee patronage because of high costs, there is a problem. You may want to speak to that. Add that to the fact that even now, petrol engine vehicles are cheaper than CNG vehicles, and at a time where we're talking about energy transition. It's quite a conundrum, isn't it?
Yes, you mentioned, you are quite right, because the fund will go to where they know that the return on it will be higher. But having said that, let's take them one after the other. Let's take the ICE vehicle, that's internal combustion engine vehicle, that is powered by PMS, that is petrol or AGO, compared to the one powered by natural gas. So that the CNG, that is the compressed natural gas. Yes, you said the cost of acquisition may be a bit higher, but over a period of 1 year, you will realize that it's quite cheaper to power your vehicle using CNG than using PMS, because of the savings you are going to make in empowering the vehicle. And after the acquisition of the vehicle, one major cost, the major cost of running the vehicle, is the cost of fuel. And that cost of fuel will determine whether it is going to be profitable over a period of time or not. And with CNG, it's quite how will I put it, it's no-brainer that with a CNG power vehicle is cheaper to maintain, to maintain over a period of time than a PMS power vehicle. So at the initial stage, it may be higher, but over a period of time, CNG vehicle is better and cheaper.
Well, there is also the issue of the encouragement for the local investors. There's a young man we have featured on this station a number of times, Benny Automobile. And one of the things we found out that he's singularly done all of these things on his own, building tractors, agricultural implements and all of that. I know you may want to speak to that one. How do we encourage those young people and bring them into an ecosystem? I'm also aware, I think, was it University of Lagos or University of Ibadan, or maybe even both, have come up with one vehicle or the other, electric vehicle or the other. And there are quite a number of pockets of initiatives like that all over the nation. In order to sustain local capacity of, in manufacturing vehicles, what's the plan? Not just for the big boys, but even for those who are also aspirational as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Benny Jato, I had discussion with him several times, and as I'm talking to you now, in the next few months, we are going to launch, maybe I don't want to say it earlier, but since you have phrased it, we are going to launch and bring to Nigeria a vehicle that we are working with Benny Jato to design. As of today, we are looking at, because you mentioned at the intro, when you are giving the intro, that we need to produce vehicle at competitive price. So we are looking at, can we look inward and design our own vehicle that will suit Nigeria topography? And these are the things we need to do, and we decided to partner with Benny on that. We are designing a bus, passenger bus, commercial bus, with a Benny, and we have gone far in the designing and production. At the end of the day, we are going to look at what's the percentage of local component, because we are giving him and we work with him with the minimum percentage we want to achieve. And we have seen it with what we have done so far. We have even surpassed the minimum percentage. We have gotten the percentage of local component that is encouraging. And we are not only him, we have one other Labat in Akure that we are working with in designing our own tricycle, which he has completed. We have test running it, and in the next few weeks we are going to bring that one also to Nigeria. Why are we doing this? We have the mandate to ensure that we look inward and encourage Nigerians to design and produce vehicles that will be competitive in price and again meet international quality. And with what we have done with them, yes, we are going to
there's quite a lot of
unveil these
things
vehicles
to unpack.
To Nigeria shortly.
My apologies, Mr. Shanuki, because we really have to go now. But there's quite a lot of stuff that we need to unpack. By the way, Benny Automobile, I think that's the name of the brand, but his name is Jerry Malu, and thank you for the partnership with him. I'm hoping that we'll also get collaborations with the Ivory Towers, because we understand that some universities are also coming up with their own initiatives. Even if it is just for within their own ecosystem, it will be a wonderful one for them. We have to thank you for your time this morning, and hope that we'll have more of these conversations so we continue to retain the issue of building local capacity, particularly for the automobile industry, in the public eye. Mr. Joseph Oshanipe is the DG NADDC. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me on your show.